This video is about something that most sports gamblers should know about and very few do. It's called Brier Score. You want to learn more? Watch this video. Welcome to The Advantage. I'm A-Train Bets, and I use my brain to make bets. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about a core calculation, core metric that I use all day, literally all day, when I'm tuning and evaluating my baseball model, which I have been working on for now 2 months. And it's called Brier Score. And what this is it's a probabilistic prediction accuracy metric. And what that means in real world talk is how accurate are my estimates when I look at what really happens. And so think about it in the context of sports gambling, because this is probably the easiest way to understand what Brier Score does. And we'll talk a little bit about how it's calculated. But what Brier Score does is that if you say, hey, I think the White Sox have a 35% chance of winning today, which may be accurate, right? 35% chance of winning in today's game. The game happens and they lose. They lose. Well, were you right or were you not right? Well, you're in the middle. You said 35% chance. Now, granted, one thing happened. But what happens in this, and why Brier Score is so useful, is it allows you to say, well, what did I think was going to happen? I said 35% chance of them winning, so that would be 65% chance of them losing. They lost. Hey, I'm awesome, right? Well, that's true. You're awesome. But the fact is that there was still a percentage chance that they would lose. What Brier Score does is helps you calibrate to that and say, hey, over the course of thousands of entries, like in baseball season, you can look and see, do my projections and what I think is going to happen, and it's, either side of that, how closely does that mirror what really happens? And so if you have 100% chance that this thing is going to happen, the White Sox are going to win today, 100% chance, and then they lose, that is the worst Brier Score you can have. If you say, I think they are a lock, they're going to win, and then they lose, no good. If they win and then they win, then the Brier Score is perfect on that particular iteration. But it's really about looking at a collection of things, because we know there's a lot of volatility in sports gambling, but it's not going to tell you a whole lot from just one or a handful of entries. You got to look at it across a whole bunch of different stuff. So Brier Score gives us that ability to do it. And so then you can say, okay, well, the way it's calculated, and we talk a little bit about what that calculation is. The way it's calculated, the lower the Brier Score you have, the better, right? And that's the key, is that you want something that will tell you how far off from reality you are. And again, it's for binary outcomes. You either win or lose a bet. If you push, it just is pushed. It doesn't count at all, right? It doesn't matter what you thought was going to happen. Nothing happened. So it just goes away, right? So in multi-way markets and other things, you're going to have to use different calculations. And Brier Score is not the only calculation out there for doing this kind of thing, but it's a pretty easy calculation to use. And like I said, I use it heavily in the development of my baseball model, because every time I make a change to that model, I go back and look and see what changed with the Brier Score, right? And so I can tell, hey, did this help my predictive ability or did it not? If you're not doing that in your model, how do you know if your model's any good? How do you know if you should be betting it? How do you know what your edge is? If you don't know those things, then you're just full of shit. Or you just don't know, and you're full of shit if you think you do know. So that's the whole point. I want to take a look. Let's go to the Wikipedia page. I find this page was pretty useful in understanding what Brier Score was all about. So we can go to the Brier Score Wikipedia page. And again, this calculation here, which is scary to most normals, I get it. And let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. That calculation right there is a little bit frightening. But all that is an aggregation. You're going to look at the differential between the probability that was forecast. I'm going to pull this magnification off, because it's this whole piece right here is what you're going to want to read carefully. The FT, probability that was forecast. OT is the actual outcome. So forecast, outcome, square the difference, and then sum them all up. That's what this means. Sum them, and however many you've summed together, you divide by, right? So it's really not that complicated in terms of the math. There's no calculus or anything crazy. It's just a summation, which for you people out there like me who went to public school, still is a little intimidating, but you can get through it and you can plug it into whatever you're using to create your model. So, mean squared error of the forecast is the way to think about this, if those words make sense to you. And for me, they don't really. So, but doesn't mean you can't use it. So what I like about this in the Wikipedia page is you can come down here, and there's actually some additional things that you're going to use, like Brier Skill is something that can be very useful when you're comparing two models, which I do constantly. Also, I have a baseline model, and then I have a model where I'm tweaking things. Stuttering is bonus. But I am tweaking that, and I'm looking, okay, did the Brier Skill improve? And that's something that you're going to want to consider as well. But again, just know that these are things first. You got to go research them. I'm not going to tell you all the details in a freaking YouTube video, but I can give you some insight, because like until I learned that this was a thing, I wasn't looking for it. So now you might stumble upon this and be like, oh wow, this is useful. And so definitely check it out. Wikipedia is a good place to start. Finds other things, but this is not the most complex thing in the world. But if you're going to get into modeling, if you're going to get into trying to predict future events, you need to start to understand it's not just about a regression. So a lot of people start with a regression analysis that tell you what the correlations of things are and how those are likely to perform in the future. But what you're doing is you're using past observations to predict into the future. There's some inherent error in that. And so you need to understand things like Brier Score help you assess how predictive your models actually are. Really, really important. So hopefully, and this video doesn't need to be that long, because we're not going to, we covered a little bit of the formula. We talked a little bit about how you use it. I look at the average Brier Score across a bunch of different things. I look at it in different contexts and different kinds of markets that I'm predicting in my model. Those are the kinds of things you're going to want to do with it. But I wanted to create this video, not because it's going to give you a comprehensive analysis of what Brier Score is, but it should introduce the fact that, hey, this is a thing. This is a very useful metric for helping to evaluate and improve any kind of predictive model that you're working on, particularly in sports betting. And it's not the only one out there. I just find that it's really, really easy to use it and improve my model with it, because that's the thing. And when you're doing sports gambling, at the end of the day, what really matters? Well, what matters is, do you make money or not? Do you have a good return of investment of both your money and your time? And Brier Score will help you understand where there may be holes in your predictive model, because you can go back and use that in the past with a forward looking to it and see, okay, how might this have performed then? And like, there's a lot of things that you can do to improve your model without losing money on the front end. And so when you're thinking about doing any kind of sports gambling, it's so tough to learn, because there's so many people out there who are just spouting, I have big brain, you are stupid, follow me. It's dumb. You can learn this stuff, and most of them don't even know this stuff because they're marketing experts. They're not sports analysts. They're not doing all of this grunt work. They're not building massive data systems to create their models to find an edge. They're there to just promote something because it's easy to buy it. It's not going to help you. And so what you can do, and what I have found the most enjoyable aspect of sports gambling for me, is not the gambling itself. That is just how we keep score. It's about understanding, how do I solve the puzzle, and how do I find edges in a place where there's so many hedges to be found. The more I've started working with a bottom-up model, and the more I've taken it seriously and said, okay, well, what skills do I have? What specializations do I have? What things am I interested in doing? These are the kinds of things that have helped me propel. And in fairly short amount of time, I've created a model that has been winning. And it's really looking pretty good. And the Brier Score is definitely indicating that there should be some edge in this, because keep in mind too, when I do a model, and the way Brier Score works, if you get to a 0.25 is basically a coin flip scenario. There's no edge. If you get heavily above that, then you're inversely correlated, which is interesting. If you get under that, which is the target, the further under that you get, the more accurate your predictions are. Well, what we find is that is a good source of edge, right? You get accurate predictions in the market, because what are the sports books about? What are they doing? Well, they're trying to provide lines where you can take either side. So they're trying to reflect that coin flip is somewhere between the two odds that they are offering, right? They're trying to get to coin flip. So if I take something that I know is performing better than coin flip, hopefully by a substantial margin, and I can then look at the market of all these sportsbooks offering numbers and get edge from the top-down analysis as well, you bring those together, there's a reason I've been getting 20% returns a lot of these days. And it's because I'm casting a wide net, I have edge on every play, variance happens, but when you are in there finding edge and adding ROI based on both bottom up and top down, that combination, oh, it's powerful. It's powerful. And this is not an advertisement just for A-Train Station. Most of what I've built with the model is completely outside of the station. But I bring it in to A-Train Station to then find where are the best prices to execute on this. And so if you use a different odds screen or something like that, or you do the A-Train Station, or you just go and play at whatever book you can, like those are the things that you can do to execute on the top-down side. But this is the kind of thing that I find just enriches my entire experience as a sports bettor. Not only do I have good results, but I have a lot more fun when I'm approaching it this way. And this is something that we've talked about in a number of different contexts and different videos, and on the live streams, we used to talk about it all the time. And that is, there's a lot of edges out there. You need to specialize. You need to decide, what is it that I like to do? What is it that I have success with? And then lean into that. Because if you try to be a jack of all trades, you're just going to have a drawer full of dull knives. Instead, pick the couple you like best and run with it. And so those are a couple things. Using Brier Score, again, just tip of the iceberg here. Understand that that's a thing. Understand that this is something that you might want to use and run with it. And so with that, thank you for joining me on this one. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.